is banning. The enemy is picking. You should be ashamed for not trusting yourself. Please pick a hero.
Hana, Sanjo.
My magic will redefine
The enemy
reality.
is picking.
It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot both.
Sniper ready. Give me a target.
Please pick a hero.
So, who's next?
Hoot hoot! Horology is my craft.
The enemy is
Diggy is my
picking.
name.
For honor!
A man with a spear is a
Your
fortress.
team is picking.
All who dare stand in my way will be devoured.
Welcome to Mobile Legends! 5 seconds till the enemy reaches the battlefield. Smash them! All troops deployed!
Running late? Just slow down the time.
Enemy not taking purple.
Woo! I have a clumsy new apprentice called Einstein.
Request backup!
Understood.
Master Rooney is my idol. Yeah. Woo! Right? Woo! Yeah. Come, let me show you my precious. Is my clock broken?
First blood! Attack!
toot toot.
An enemy has
Enemy
been
reached
slain.
level 4.
Yeah. Right?
An ally has been slain.
May I study your watch for a second?
Request backup.
I have a clumsy new apprentice called Einstein.
Launch attack.
Come, let me show you.
Request backup. Okay.
Dooby-dooby-doo-doo, dooby-dooby-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo. Ziggy is back!
Ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain.
I have a clumsy new apprentice called Einstein.
Request backup.
Is my clock broken? Running late? Just slow down.
Request
Enemy
backup.
invading jungle.
Hoot hoot, toot toot, hoot hoot, toot toot, blow blow blow. Time is science.
Enemy invading jungle.
May I study your watch for a second?
Okay. Our turret has been destroyed.
I have a clumsy new apprentice called Einstein. Master Rooney is
Launch
my
attack.
Impressive!
You have been slain. Well played.
Dude, wrong item choice! Ziggy is back! Running late? Just slow down the time.
An ally has been slain.
May I study your watch for
Enemy
a
double
second?
kill.
Master Rooney is my idol! Impressive!
That was amazing!
I have a clumsy new apprentice called Einstein.
Our turret is under attack. An ally has been slain.
Enemy invading jungle.
Impressive!
Enemy equipment on CD.
Your team destroyed a turret.
Time is science!
Enemy invading jungle.
Come, let me show you my precious. Hoot hoot, toot toot, hoot hoot, toot toot, blow blow blow.
Enemy invading jungle.
I have a clumsy new apprentice called Einstein. You're so lame! The star will disappear if you lose! Ziggy is back!
Enemy rampage.
Is my clock broken? Master Rooney time is
An
our
enemy
turret
has been destroyed. Our turret is under attack. The enemy has been slain. The enemy has slain the turtle.
Come, let me show you my precious.
Your team destroyed a turret. Our turret is under attack. An ally has been
Enemy battle
slain.
spell on CD.
Is my clock broken? I have a clumsy new apprentice called Einstein. May I study your watch for a second? Running late? Just slow down the time.
Our turret is under attack. An enemy has been slain. Your team destroyed a turret. An ally has been slain.
Enemy battle spell on CD.
Hoot hoot, toot toot, hoot hoot, toot the time is science!
Killing spree. Shut down. An enemy has been slain. You have been slain.
Request backup!
An enemy has been slain. Our turret has been double kill.
Ziggy is back!
Your team destroyed a turret. Attack the Lord.
Come, let me show
Okay.
you my precious. Is my clock broken?
Request backup.
Hoot hoot, toot toot, hoot hoot, toot toot. I have a clumsy new apprentice called Einstein.
Our turret is under attack. An enemy has been slain. Impressive. Well played.
Running late? Just slow down the time.
An enemy has been slain. Ally has been slain.
Master Rooney is my idol. Woo! Impressive!
Science. Attack the Lord.
Understood.
Running late? Just slow down the time. apprentice called
Ally has been slain. You have slain an enemy.
Come, let me show you my precious. May I study your watch for a second? I have a clumsy new apprentice called Einstein.
Our inhibitor turret is under attack.
Master,
The enemy has slain Lord. An enemy has been slain. An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain.
hoot hoot, toot toot, hoot hoot, toot toot. I have a clumsy new
Attack
apprentice
enemy
called
lord.
Einstein. Hoot hoot, toot toot, hoot hoot, toot toot. I have a clumsy new apprentice called Einstein. May I
Impressive! Turret is under
Great
attack.
play!
Time is science!
An enemy has been slain. Our inhibitor turret is under attack. An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain. Mega kill!
Come, let me show you my precious.
An enemy has been slain.
Wiped out.
Running late? Just slow down the time. Is my clock broken?
Your team destroyed a turret. Ally has been slain.
Come, let me show you my precious. Running late? Just slow down the time.
Mega kill! Shut down. Killing spree! Impressive!
That was amazing! That was amazing!
An enemy has been slain.
Time is science!
An ally has been slain.
Hoot hoot, toot toot, hoot hoot, toot toot. I have a clumsy new apprentice called Einstein.
An enemy has launched attack. An ally has slain Lord. An ally has been slain.
I have a clumsy new apprentice called Einstein. Ooh!
Enemy on CD.
Mega kill! Shut down! Our turret is under attack.
I will resurrect soon.
Ally has been unstoppable!
Follow Lord.
Our turret is under attack. Your team destroyed a turret. Our turret has been destroyed.
Impressive!
Great play.
Master Ruby
Enemy on CD.
Your team destroyed a turret. Your team destroyed a turret. You have slain an enemy.
Can I study your watch for a second?
Shut down. You have been slain. Double kill. Your team destroyed a turret. An enemy has been slain.
Wiped out.
Monster kill.
Victory!
The demon in the fan seeks to keep me. Quite the greedy one. But I still have people to kill. People to love. Within the blissful hell of these
Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Snap back to
I'm gonna do a happy birthday right now. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. I'm gonna do a happy birthday right now. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. I'm gonna do a happy birthday right now. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
This is why Benedetta is the greatest creation in Mobile Legends. The game has over 100 heroes, but only a few are considered true masterpieces. Benedetta is one of them. But why? Benedetta's passive lets her charge Sword Intent by holding the basic attack button, allowing her to perform a dash attack. This makes her one of the most mobile and elusive heroes. Benedetta's skill 2 is one of the best designed defensive abilities in the game. It grants brief invincibility and CC immunity. If timed to block incoming damage or CC, she deflects it and stuns the enemy. Her ultimate deals continuous physical damage in a large area. Combined with Petrify, she can trap the entire enemy team. Moonton created a hero that feels entirely fair. For beginners, she feels clunky, squishy, and struggles to land her damage. For masters, she becomes an untouchable menace, melting the backline. This is why Benedetta is the greatest.
You like music, right?
Every cop in my unit said I brought home the wrong dog until he saved 300 kids. My wife slid a manila envelope across her parents' dinner table and said, I know about Catherine. Nobody had touched the food. Her dad sat with both hands folded beside his plate. Her brother blocked the doorway with his arms crossed, and Natalie was sitting at the opposite end of the table instead of beside me. I opened the envelope, credit card charges, hotel photos, screenshots from a contact saved as K, every Tuesday for 3 months, highlighted in yellow. Before you lie, her mother said. We hired someone. My fork slipped off the napkin and hit the floor. I tried to stand. Her brother stepped forward, sit down and explain who she is. Every time I opened my mouth, someone threw another page at me. A hotel lobby photo, a restaurant receipt, a text from K that said, perfect night. Natalie tapped the paper with one shaking finger. Was I supposed to find out before or after you took her to our anniversary spot? I said, please let me explain. Her dad pushed a folded document across the table. She already filed. Divorce papers. My chest went hollow. You filed before asking me? Natalie's brother shrugged. We wanted proof first. I reached for my phone, but her mother moved between us. No private conversations. Say it here. That was when tiny footsteps creaked above us. My stomach tightened. Where are the kids? Natalie wiped her cheek. Upstairs. I gripped the chair. What did you tell them? Nobody answered fast enough. Her mother lifted her chin. We told them Daddy made grown-up mistakes and would live somewhere else. The room blurred around the yellow highlights. You told our kids I was leaving them? I pulled my own envelope from inside my jacket and dropped it on the table. Cream paper slid out first, followed by a guest list with every name in that room printed under family. K is Catherine Benner, the event coordinator at Grand Lakeview. The hotel charges were deposits. The restaurants were tastings. Perfect night was our vow renewal. Natalie's hands covered her mouth. I unfolded the invitation and pushed it toward her. Natalie, 10 years later, I'd still choose you. Her father's name was on the RSVP card. So was her mother's. So was her brother's. Nobody touched it. Upstairs, my daughter called. Daddy, I walked past the table, picked up both kids, and carried them to the car while the invitation stayed open beside the divorce papers. Natalie followed me to the porch, crying so hard she could barely say my name. I buckled the kids in and shut the door. You should have opened my envelope first. My wife slid a manila envelope across her parents' dinner table and I pointed at the last striped neon jacket on the shelf. I want that one, Dad. He adjusted his glasses. You got it, kiddo. There's nothing I wouldn't do for you. But a man reached past us and grabbed the neon jacket, taking it to the register. My dad's fists clenched and he ran up to him at the checkout and put his hand on the man's shoulder. Sorry, buddy. My son had his heart set on that jacket. For your own sake, could you please give it over? The guy shrugged. Sorry, man, it's mine, and scanned his card. I stood there not wanting to escalate anything, but Dad cut him off as he was about to leave. I'll give you $20 for it. No, how about 40? The man simply walked past my dad, bumping his hip with the card. I tugged Dad's sleeve. We can get a different jacket, but his face was already red like he was ready to kill. I'm about to show this asshole what happens when you mess with my family. He dragged me to the car, and when the man loaded his jacket in and took off, Dad floored the accelerator after him, muttering, the jacket's mine, under his breath. I looked at the man in his car and saw his face drop as he realized Dad was following him. When we caught up at a red light, Dad pulled a megaphone from the glove compartment and leaned out his window. This is your last warning. Give me the jacket. I quietly asked where he got the megaphone, and he ruffled my hair playfully. I've always had it for emergencies, kiddo. Then he leaned out and shouted again. The man stared forward like he was regretting all his life choices. Dad chased him through suburban neighborhoods for 30 minutes until he pulled into his house and sprinted inside. Dad pounded on his door while I stood behind him mortified. I don't even want the jacket anymore. Yes, you do. Dad slammed his window hard. You have 10 seconds to hand over the jacket, or I'll smash every window in your house. He grabbed the golf club from his boot and stood by the window. 10, 9. I gripped Dad's sleeve, almost crying. Dad, please stop. 8, 7. He gripped the club tighter. The door opened, and the man threw the striped neon jacket at me with shaking hands. Just don't hurt me, please. He closed the door immediately. Dad stared at the jacket in my arms, and his face instantly became normal again. Told you there's nothing I wouldn't do for you. In the car, he laughed to himself, and I didn't even have to pay a dime. I should do this more often. I didn't say a word. I just looked at my jacket and started mentally calculating how much bail would cost. I pointed at the last striped neon jacket.
OOTD.
I opened the front door for the 4th time that hour, hoping to see Rosalie pedaling up on the yellow bike she'd saved all summer to buy, ringing the bell twice like she always did, so I'd know she was home, but she still wasn't there. Rosalie? Nothing. I grabbed my keys and drove down every street in the neighborhood with my window down, but I couldn't find her. Once it got dark, I called the police, and they searched for 3 weeks, but found nothing. They knocked on every door on the street, even old Mr. Avery next door, who shook his head and said he'd keep an eye out. They closed the case, but I told myself every single day that I would find out what happened to her. 7 years later, I was on my way out to put up more missing person posters when I noticed Mr. Avery's kids were having a garage sale. He had just passed away, so I walked over to give my condolences and froze in the middle of the driveway. A bright yellow bike was leaning against a folding table with a $5 price tag on the handle. I picked it up, turned it over, and found her initials scratched into the bottom of the seat. The woman behind the table smiled at me. You want it? I put $5 down on the table and carried the bike home without saying a word. I sat in my garage staring at it and thought about the man who had lived 30 feet away from me for 7 years. Then I picked up the phone and called the detective who worked Rosalie's case. I need you to come to my house right now. They searched the property the next morning. I stood on my porch and watched them carry things out of his shed one by one until one of them stopped, looked inside a box, and went very still. The detective crossed the lawn toward me, and I already knew from his face. I could not speak. He put his hand on my shoulder. We found enough evidence. It was him. The man who took my daughter had lived 30 feet away from me for the last 7 years, and even his own children never knew who he really was, or that they'd sold me the one piece of my daughter I had left. I opened the front door for the 4th time that hour, hoping to see Rosalie pedaling up on the yellow bike she'd saved all summer to buy, ringing the bell twice like she always did. I was at my school's annual Skittles guessing contest, waiting for the teacher to announce the winner. The prize was a brand new Nintendo Switch, and I'd never wanted anything more. The teacher shouted, "We have a winner," and pointed right at me. I jumped out of my seat screaming, but before I could grab my prize, a kid named Jason snatched at the box. He'd won this contest every single year. I was only one number off. That Switch should be mine. I pulled it back towards me. No way, I won it fair. His face dropped. A real winner would just give it to me, and I'll make sure you do. I didn't know what he meant by that until he fell onto the floor crying. Jason put his hands over his face, real tears coming out, performing a show for everyone to see. You don't understand. My parents have cancer, and winning this was the only thing that made them happy. The whole room gasped and turned to me. Suddenly, I was the villain, but I wasn't sure if he was lying or telling the truth. Please, he choked out. They don't have much time left. They were so excited for me. The teacher knelt beside him and rubbed his back, then looked up at me. Maybe you could let him have this one. For his parents, everyone was staring, waiting for my response, but my stomach twisted. If his parents were really dying, I'd be a bad person. I didn't want to be cruel. So slowly, I held out the switch and placed it in his hands, my heart breaking. I'm sorry about your parents. Jason looked up, and suddenly the tears stopped, and he smirked. But giving him the prize was the best thing I could have done, because moments later, 2 adults walked in, beaming. Jason yelled, "Mom, Dad, I won. The Nintendo's mine." The teacher lit up and rushed over to them, taking their hands. "You must be so proud, and I'm so sorry about your battle with cancer. I hope you both recover soon." The parents stared at him, confused. "Huh?" The teacher blinked. "Jason told us about how you both are ill." She put her hand on my back, and this sweet boy gave up the prize for your son to see you happy. Jason went white. His parents turned to him. "You told people we had cancer?" The whole room realized Jason lied to get the prize, and the teacher's face hardened. "You're banned from this contest. Now give your switch back to the real winner." Jason's parents pushed him towards me. Jason hesitated. I smirked and said, "A real winner would just give it back to me." He dropped the switch into my hands, his face redder than the Skittles in the jar. I was at my school's annual Skittles guessing contest, waiting for the teacher to announce the winner. My dad dropped my math homework in the trash and said, "You'll never make anything of yourself." I fished the page back out and tried doing the sum again. He sighed and took his prostate cancer medication with cold tea, watching me get it wrong. "You don't have it in you, and I'm going to die knowing my only son never succeeded." I dug my pencil into the page until it snapped. I was going to make him choke on those words. A week later, I aced the test he said I'd fail and slapped it on the table. "Seems like I do have it in me, Pops." He glanced at the red A and wheezed. "Looks like luck was on your side, eh, boy?" I opened my mouth to respond, but he kept his eyes glued to the crossword puzzle and crossed another word off. But I wasn't going to stop until he admitted he was proud of me. And by the time I graduated college with a master's in cancer research, I chose to research prostate cancer, the same one that was still killing him, to prove to my dad I could be successful. The week my team built a drug finally worked. The first thing I did was grab the test results to visit my dad and show him. I walked into his room where he was doing another crossword, and I laid the report on the blanket. "The trial worked. My teams. You're welcome, Dad." I waited for him to finally crack. He put down the crossword, turned the report over with a shaking hand, and smiled down at it. "I always knew you would do amazing things in this life." I laughed. "Yeah, right. You told me I'd never make anything of myself." His eyes filled with tears. "I know, because you had such a bright future, but you were so lazy. I knew you'd only work hard if I gave you a reason to prove me wrong." My face drained of color. I sank onto the bed and held his hand, and the proud look on his face that I'd chased since I was 12 was finally here. "I'm so proud of what you made of yourself, son." I teared up because it was there all along, but I was just too blind to see it. My dad dropped my math homework in the trash and said, "You'll never make anything of yourself." The judge banged his gavel and gave me custody of my daughter, and I jumped in the air because I hadn't seen her in 12 months. That night, I made her favorite soup, and after eating, looked at me with her giant, sparkling eyes. "Can we go on a late-night drive like we used to?" I hesitated because I'd lost my license, and if I was caught, I'd be going to jail. But when I looked into her hopeful eyes, I couldn't say no. We got in the car and took off, and I kept my head on a swivel looking for cops. But then I saw something that made me stop. She'd snuck a second bowl of soup in the back seat. "You're gonna spill it." I laughed, but she took a tiny spoonful and promised she wouldn't. I kept driving while she beamed with her soup, and a smile formed on my face. I was so lost in the moment, I didn't even notice my foot drifting on the accelerator. Red and blue lights flashed across my car. I glanced at my speedometer and saw I was going 80 and a 50, and my legs trembled on the brakes as I rolled to a stop. Crap, I'm going to jail. I gripped my head terrified, because jail meant losing my daughter again. I turned around and saw her drop her spoon into her soup out of fear. "Did you say jail, Daddy? I won't get to see you again?" Her lip quivered, and I saw the cop step out of his car. I tried frantically to think of a way out, when suddenly I smelt it. My daughter was tipping her bowl of soup onto my dashboard. Soggy carrots and broccoli ran all over my console. I gripped my head. "What are you doing?" But she cut me off. "Tell him I threw up." She curled into a ball in the back seat, and suddenly I heard knuckles on my window. I rolled my window down and faced the officer, pale with fear. But then my daughter groaned from the back. "Are we at the hospital yet, Daddy? It hurts so bad." She was clutching her stomach, and I instantly realized what she was doing. I told the officer, "My daughter's got appendicitis, sir. She just threw up. That's why I was speeding." The cop saw the spilled soup that looked like vomit and immediately nodded. "I'm so sorry, sir. Please keep driving." I pulled away, and my daughter instantly sat up, grinning with her empty bowl. I would have gone to jail if she didn't spill that soup, and getting custody this morning would have meant nothing. But now I got to keep being her dad. Every cop in my unit said I brought home the wrong dog until he saved 300 kids. I was sitting next to my K9's grave when I heard footsteps behind me. The captain walked up and put a hand on my shoulder. "I know Max was your best friend, but you need to move on." His hand slid off my shoulder. I called the breeder. "Your new shepherd's ready Friday." Friday morning, I was on my way to the breeder when I saw a dog shelter from the highway. Something in me pulled me off the road and into the shelter's parking lot. I walked down every aisle, but none of the dogs looked like Max. I was about to leave for the breeder when I heard a bark behind me. I turned around and saw a husky in the last kennel pressing his nose to the bars, tilting his head at me the way Max used to when he was figuring something out. I pulled out my phone and called the captain. "Cancel the breeder." I found my dog. I hung up and signed the papers before I could talk myself out of it. The next morning, I pulled into the precinct with Atlas in the passenger seat. The captain walked over, stopped 6 feet from us, and said it like a verdict. "You brought home a husky." The other handlers behind him started laughing. I crouched down and put a hand on Atlas's head. "This is Atlas. He's going to be the best K9 this department has ever had." The captain doubled over laughing. "Huskies aren't K9 dogs. They're sled dogs in costumes." Our trainer walked around Atlas and shook his head. 2 months. He'll wash out. Day 1. Atlas couldn't sit still for 5 minutes. Day 12. He sniffed out an explosive sample buried under 3 feet of mulch that Max would have missed. Day 40. The trainer put his clipboard away and started watching him. Day 90. Atlas graduated top of his class with a perfect score on explosive detection. 6 months later, I was at my desk eating lunch when dispatch radioed in a bomb threat at an elementary school that wasn't a drill. I clipped Atlas into his vest before I finished the call, and we were on scene in 12 minutes. Kids were being walked out in lines by their teachers. We swept the cafeteria, the gym, and 3 hallways before Atlas stopped dead outside a janitor's closet. His ears flattened against his head, and he wouldn't move. I called bomb squad over the radio. They cracked the door open and found 2 pipe bombs wired together behind a supply rack. They evacuated 312 kids. The captain, who called him a sled dog in costume, crouched down and pinned a medal on his harness himself. That weekend, I drove Atlas out to Max's grave. I knelt next to the headstone, and Atlas sat down beside me. I put my hand on Max's name carved into the stone. "You'd have loved Atlas, buddy. He saved 300 kids while every cop in my unit said I brought home the wrong dog." Every cop in my unit said I brought home the wrong dog until he saved 300 kids. I got a notification on my phone. Emergency weather alert. Category 4 hurricane warning. Evacuate immediately. I ran to the car to evacuate with my family, but there was no seat left in the car for me. "Where am I supposed to sit, Dad?" My dad put more boxes in. "You're not coming with us. You're staying here to protect the house." I always knew I wasn't their favorite child, but I never thought they'd leave me to die. "Can you move some of these boxes so I can fit?" "Absolutely not. Everything in here is important." My mom rolled down her window. "Don't worry, you'll be fine." Before I could say anything, they drove off. It started raining, and I ran inside and locked the door. The wind was so strong the walls shook. After just a few minutes, I heard a loud crack and saw the front door burst open. Water rushed in, flooding the living room in seconds. The water was rising fast. I ran upstairs as fast as I could, but suddenly I felt my sock getting wet. I looked down and saw the water was pooling falling on the floor around me. I pulled the attic ladder down and climbed up. My hands were shaking. This was the highest point in the house. I shut the attic door and sat down. If the water reaches me here, I wouldn't have anywhere else to go. For a moment, everything was still. Then a window exploded. Glass flew across the attic and a piece sliced into my leg. I screamed and pulled it out of my skin. Water started pouring in through the broken window, making the water rise faster. When the water rose to my chest, I realized I was going to die in the house my parents left me to protect. Then I heard a helicopter outside. I punched the ceiling above me until it broke open. I climbed onto the roof and waved my arms in the rain. The helicopter spotted me and pulled me up. A man looked at me confused. Are you alone? Where's your family? They left me in the house. They left you alone in a Category 4 hurricane? I could tell by his face he knew this wasn't an accident. Don't worry, kid. We'll help you. I was alive, but my parents didn't know that yet. A few days later, my family arrived at the house. Undercover police cars were outside the house waiting for them. My mom stepped out and saw me standing with them. You're still alive? The officer stepped out of the car and arrested them for attempted murder. I looked at them. Don't worry, guys. You'll be fine. I got a notification on my phone. Emergency weather alert. Category 4 hurricane. I was working at a retail store on Black Friday when I saw a huge crack on the ceiling. My heart skipped a beat because I knew this wasn't good. I looked around. The store was packed beyond capacity. I ran to my manager for help. There's a crack in the ceiling. I think we're over capacity. For safety reasons, maybe we should remove people. He cut me off. We're about to hit $60,000 in sales today. Get back to work or you're fired, peasant. He didn't see customers. He saw walking money bags. I didn't want to get fired, so I went back to work. But 15 minutes later, the crack was wider. Dust was falling on customers' heads. I went back to him. It's getting worse. What if it collapses on everyone? He pointed at his clipboard. We're at $87,000 in sales. I don't care about a crack on the ceiling. I care about chasing the bag. Don't bother me again. My gut was telling me not to ignore it. So I took a photo of the crack and sent it to my brother, who's a contractor, for advice. He texted back immediately. Get everyone out now. It will collapse and kill everyone. My heart dropped. I started telling my coworkers. They looked up and panicked. The manager saw us and stormed over. Put that phone away or every single one of you is fired. Then a huge chunk of the ceiling crashed down and shattered a TV display. Customers screamed. Without thinking, I ran and pulled the fire alarm. Sprinklers went off. Everyone started rushing toward the exits. The manager charged at me. What have you done? You're paying for all of this. Then the fire department showed up. A firefighter looked at the building and told the manager, this building is going to collapse any second. You need to get out now. But my manager refused. You guys are pussycats. We're about to hit $100,000. I can't leave now. He walked back inside. The customers, employees, and firefighters stood outside staring at the building, waiting for it to collapse. You could hear the cracking from the parking lot. Then the roof buckled. The whole building folded in on itself. Crash. But my manager was still there with his clipboard. It took rescue teams an hour to pull him out. He was unconscious and broken. I went to see him at the hospital, and he was in a full body cast. His eyes followed me as I walked in. I pulled up a chair and held up his clipboard. $100,000 on the dot. His eyes lit up. He slowly raised his hand and gave me a thumbs up. He was a poopy manager, but he would die chasing the bag, and honestly, I respected it. I was working at a retail store on Black Friday. My little brother and I were wrestling on the couch when I accidentally flipped him too hard, and he slammed straight onto the floor.
Joking, best of bits.
I was visiting my dad in the hospital when I saw his hospital roommate poking his broken leg and laughing. My dad was smiling and letting it happen, so I shoved his roommate. You're hurting my dad. His leg is broken. He grinned. Oops, I'm a patient, so you can't do anything about it. I wanted to kill him because my dad has head trauma from a car accident and couldn't defend himself. But even with head trauma, he's still nice and smiles at everyone. But looking at his roommate hooked to machines, I let him off the hook and just held my dad's hand, telling myself it wouldn't happen again. Moments later, I left to use the bathroom real quick. But when I was walking back to the room, I heard my dad sobbing and ran in immediately. I saw the roommate digging his thumb into the cast and poking at the break in my dad's leg, watching him cry and holding the call button far away so my dad couldn't reach it while smiling and laughing diabolically. I felt my cheeks clench. I pushed him, grabbed the call button, and pressed it because I needed to get help. Immediately, a nurse came in. I pointed. He keeps hurting my dad's broken leg. My dad can't even defend himself. The nurse looked at my dad, but he was smiling again. He's heavily sedated. He can't even feel it. And she left. I couldn't believe it. The roommate leaned back. I told you, you can't do anything about it. By the end of the day, the leg was swollen and gray. I screamed for help until a doctor finally cut the cast open. He stared at it for a long second. The bone shattered. He's never going to walk on this leg again. I'm sorry. My dad just smiled at him. No idea what he'd lost, and my heart broke. I looked at the roommate sleeping in the next bed, and I knew exactly what I had to do. The next morning, I waited by my dad's bed. The roommate woke up, looked over, and grinned. He reached across to my dad's leg one more time. Let's see if I can make him cry harder this time. I grabbed his wrist right before he could touch it. He laughed. You can't do anything about it, remember? But I pulled his blanket back, wrapped my hand around his leg, and twisted until I heard it pop. He screamed so loud the whole floor heard it. The nurse came running in. What happened? I let go and looked right at her. Oh, relax. He's heavily sedated. He can't feel a thing. I broke him the same way he broke my dad. Oops. I was visiting my dad in the hospital when I saw his hospital. I woke up on my best friend's couch, and his cat looked me dead in the eyes and said, "Good morning." The room was tilting, and when I tried to remember last night, I couldn't think of anything that had happened. I stumbled into the kitchen, and my best friend William was waiting with a baking pan, one brownie left in it. Dude, you ate all my brownies last night, the ones from my party. I grabbed the counter to stop myself from falling, because this explained everything. What kind of brownies, William? What the hell did I eat? He looked at me for a long second and walked out without saying anything. I splashed cold water on my face and pinched my arm to try and snap myself out of it. But when I looked up, the cat put his paw on my hand. You should probably sit down, man. I backed out of the kitchen and tore through the apartment for a wrapper, a box, anything that said what was in those brownies. But when I walked into the living room, I saw 3 versions of myself, all smiling and waving at me. Nice to finally meet you, dude. I shook my head, trying to force myself to see straight. And when I opened my eyes again, the room was empty. William, where the hell are you, bro? I heard a noise in the hallway, so I ran out and grabbed him by the shoulders. Dude, what was in those brownies? Just tell me. Before he could respond, I watched his blue hoodie turn to red, then blue again. So I grabbed my keys and dialed poison control with shaking thumbs. I ate something last night. I don't know what it was, and I'm seeing things. William dove across the room and slapped the phone out of my hand. Chill. They were regular brownies. He stood over me with both hands up, breathing hard. You never ate anything bad. I just saw that you ate my entire batch of brownies, so I tricked you into believing that you were tripping out. You're so gullible, dude. He reached behind the couch and pulled out a Bluetooth speaker. The cat never spoke to you. It just seemed that way. He pointed to the corner where there were 3 blow-up balloon versions of myself. I looked at the balloons, then at the cat, then walked back to the kitchen, picked the last brownie out of the pan, and ate it, looking him dead in the eyes. Worth it. I woke up on my best friend's couch, and his cat looked me dead in the eye. My grandma was wobbling on a kitchen chair, reaching for the top shelf, so I grabbed her waist. You're too old for this. Let me do it for you. She swatted my hands away. I may be a little older than you, but I still got it. I just laughed it off. She jumped down and landed in a squat. I'm gonna prove it. I didn't know what she was talking about, but the next day she pulled up outside my house, honking till I came out. She rolled the window down and said, "I'm gonna show you what us grandmas are capable of." I got in the car and asked, "Grandma, where are we going? Is it your knitting club or something?" She responded by putting on sunglasses and doing 130 in a 50 lane. You'll see. When we parked at a small airfield, I turned to her completely confused. "Grandma, why are we at an airport?" But she was already getting out of the car and cartwheeling through the entrance. "Just follow me, son." Inside, a guy at the desk lit up when he saw her. "Rita, it's been so long since we last saw each other." He kissed her hand and she pointed a finger at me. He thinks I'm too old to do anything cool anymore. The man looked at me and laughed. "Then you've got another thing coming." He handed her a parachute backpack and she stepped into it like she'd done it 1,000 times, snapping every buckle without looking. I smiled nervously. Gran, what are we doing?" She tossed a jumpsuit at my chest. "We're going skydiving." My heart started pounding and I grabbed her arm. "This is insane, Gran. You're 80 years old. Let me drive you home." She shook me off and walked to the plane. I climbed climbed in after her, and I watched the houses become tiny dots in the distance as we shot up 18,000 feet into the sky. She checked my straps for me, calm as anything, while I gripped the bench till my knuckles ached. When we got to the top, the instructor hauled the door open, and freezing wind tore through the cabin. I locked up in the doorway, shaking my head. Grandma, I really can't do this. She pulled her goggles down and clipped my strap. You're young, let me do it for you. She tipped backward out of the plane, arms wide, whooping like a teenager. I dove out after her, and by the time I got near to her, she was way below me, flat and steady and grinning into the wind, while I cartwheeled through the sky screaming her name. When we landed, I was a sweaty mess, but my grandma landed in a squat and smiled. Told you I was gonna prove it. My grandma was wobbling on a kitchen chair, reaching for the top shelf, so I grabbed her waist. You're too old for this. Let me do it for you. She swatted my hands away. I may be a little older than you, but I still got it. I just laughed it off. She jumped down and landed in a squat. I'm gonna prove it. I didn't know what she was talking about, but the next day she pulled up outside my house, honking till I came out. She rolled the window down and said, I'm gonna show you what us grandmas are capable of. I got in the car and asked, Grandma, where are we going? Is it your knitting club or something? She responded by putting on sunglasses and doing 130 in a 50 lane. You'll see. When we parked at a small airfield, I turned to her completely confused. Grandma, why are we at an airport? But she was. Derek bought $500 AI glasses and immediately trusted them more than God. We were supposed to be driving to brunch, 12 minutes away, one left turn, one highway exit, and a parking lot with bottomless mimosas. I had the route open on my phone before he even backed out of the driveway. Derek, use Google Maps. He tapped the side of the frames. These have military-grade navigation. You bought them from a podcast ad. In the reflection of his lens, I could see the route glowing blue across his right eye. It pointed us toward the highway. That part seemed fine. It stopped being fine when the glasses told him to exit before the highway and cut through a neighborhood. Then a gravel path behind a rec center that I'm almost positive was for joggers. Must be a shortcut. He beamed. A woman walking a dog jumped sideways into the grass as we rolled past at 7 miles an hour. The path dumped us into a public park with a fountain, pavilion, children, one man eating a sandwich on a bench who didn't even bother to look up. Derek, there are children. It's recalculating. The glasses were not recalculating. They were politely telling him to continue straight through a family reunion. We bumped over a curve back onto an actual road, and Derek turned to me with both hands loose on the wheel. See? Military grade. I had my hand on the door handle. Then the glasses chimed. Turn right in 200 feet. There was no road to the right. There was a boat ramp. I said, Derek, what are you doing? He slowed down, squinted through the glasses, and said, it might be a service road. For boats? The glasses chimed again. Continue to destination. Derek whispered, trust the glasses. The front tires rolled over the wet concrete. The hood dipped. The engine made a sound like a blender full of coins, and the car slid nose first into the lake. For 1 second, neither of us moved. Then the glasses chimed. You have arrived at your destination. Derek took them off slowly, looked at the glasses, looked at the lake, looked at me. I said, how's brunch? A soggy receipt floated up from the cup holder. $500. Derek watched it drift past the dashboard and said, I think I can still return them. The glasses chimed one last time. Route saved. Derek bought $500 AI glasses, and immediately I was crying to the doctor, telling him I couldn't pay for my wife's cancer treatment because I had no money. But the doctor cut me off. Sir, the treatment is already paid for. Your son paid all $25,000. I stared in shock. That can't be true. He's only 16, but the doctor confirmed it. I drove straight home and asked him, how did you pay for your mom's treatment? He just shrugged. I just really love mom. I knew he was hiding something. 16-year-olds don't get $25,000 for doing anything good. Then that night I heard the front door click shut at 2 a.m. My son was sneaking out. I immediately got in my car and followed him to find out where he was going, keeping my headlights off, all the way to an empty lot behind the warehouses. There was a crowd of people, music, cars everywhere, and stacks of cash changing hands. My son got into a beat-up car at the starting line. I realized this was illegal street racing. My heart broke because my 16-year-old was risking his life for his mom. I shoved through the crowd to drag him out the car before something bad happened, but the flags went down and the race started. He launched off the line and was weaving through cars, taking turns nobody should survive, lapping grown men who'd been racing for years. I froze. He crossed the line first, and the crowd went insane. Someone handed him a fat roll of cash. I heard someone yell, he hasn't lost yet. This kid is insane. My eyes watered. My son had a real gift, and I had to do something about it. I had to get him off those streets, so I started working overnight shifts at a warehouse. With that money, I drove down to the local karting track and signed him up for their racing program. When my son got home, I told him, your mom's old coworker sponsors young drivers. She pulled a favor and got you a spot. He stared at me suspiciously. This is so random. Why? I shrugged. Mom just really loves you. He smiled. And years later, my wife made a full recovery from the treatment, and my son became a professional racer. My son and I both kept secrets from each other because we both really love mom. I was crying to the doctor, telling him I couldn't pay for my. We sat down at the table when my brother-in-law slapped me on the shoulder and pointed up at the Ghost Wing challenge sign. All right, you and me, all 12 with no milk and loser buys dinner for a month. Milk's for babies anyway. I looked up and read the rules under the little skulls. Finish all 12, no milk, no water, no tapping out. The waitress slowed down as she passed and tapped that last line. Everybody says yes to this one, sweetie. And then they're begging me for milk. I'm not even allowed to bring them. He just waved her off and ordered us 2 platters. No offense, man, but I've watched you sweat over a mild taco. So honestly, this is gonna be the easiest dinner I ever won. The plates came out steaming, and he tore into his first wing like he was making a point. By the third one, his forehead was shiny, and he was talking way faster than before. See, this isn't even heat. It's just flavor, and people never get that. I had my head down working through mine with my eyes watering, and he loved every second of it. I mean, look at him. He's basically crying already. I told you he'd fold. He grabbed my sister by the sleeve and pulled her over. Babe, come on, back me up here. Does he honestly look like he's gonna finish that? She leaned in and looked at both plates before pulling her arm back. Honey, his plate's almost empty, and yours isn't. His eye twitched, and he let go of her. By the next wing, he was fanning his mouth and waving the waitress over. Milk. I need milk. Just bring me a milk. She pointed at the sign without slowing down. Rules are rules, hun. His face was red and dripping, and his hands had started to shake. He spun around to the next table, snatched the little carton off the kid's tray, and chugged it right there in front of everyone. The kid stared up at him. Mom, the spicy man took my milk. The whole place turned to watch a grown man hunched over a stolen carton of milk. I swallowed my last wing and wiped my hands before sliding the check across to him. Then I slapped him on the shoulder. Drink up. Milk's for babies, right? We sat down at the table when my brother-in-law slapped me. My best friend shone his flashlight into my living room from his house across the road. In Morse code, my spelled join the Minecraft game. We joined at the same time, and it was our 100th time trying to destroy the Ender Dragon. After 2 hours, the dragon was on half a heart, and I got ready to taste victory. But suddenly the door slammed open, and my mom plugged out the monitor. Summer's over, and school starts on Monday. No more phones or gaming after 6 p.m. But I knew I needed to find a way around it because I promised Mike we'd find a way to defeat it. I ran back to my room, and Mike started flashing his torch again. This time he spelled out, we need to come up with a plan to beat the Ender Dragon. I responded, I'm down for anything. He flashed, get a pen and paper too. Write down what I say. I wrote down every word of his plan with a huge grin on my face because it was so insane. I didn't even know if it could work. And at 4 a.m. the next morning, I walked down to the kitchen to get ready to follow through. I opened the cabinet no one touched and took out the moldiest bread I could find. When no one was looking, I immediately ate every slice, and I hoped Mike was following his side of the plan too so we could defeat the Ender Dragon. By the time my mom found me, I was shaking over the toilet for real, and I grabbed her sleeve. Bring me to St. Mary's Hospital, please. They wheeled me onto the children's ward, and right there in the bed was Mike. We both smirked at each other because the plan worked perfectly, and it was finally time to defeat the Ender Dragon. The second the nurse left, Mike slid his phone from under the blanket, and I pulled out mine. We loaded the world, dropped into the end side by side, and after just an hour, the school bus swerved so hard it threw me into the window. I jumped up and saw the dumbest kid in our school had both hands locked on the steering wheel, screaming at the old bus driver, give it to me. You always get to drive. It's my turn. The driver grabbed Dean's sleeve, his voice cracking. Son, please, you're gonna kill us all. 2 jocks charged the front and wrapped him up around the chest, but that dumb ba was somehow stronger than them both. He shrugged them off like they were nothing. nothing and stamped on the gas. My mom took my Xbox. I haven't played GTA in 3 days, he said, whipping us around the corner while we all screamed. I need to dopamine max or I'm gonna lose my mind. And up ahead, a wall of traffic filled the windshield. I'm gonna drive straight through. I crawled up the aisle, grabbed the back of his seat, and leaned into his ear. Bro, you're about to fail the GTA mission. His hands twitched on the wheel. Checkpoint's right there. Pull over or you lose all your progress. Everything gone. I was using his own logic against him. He gasped, dude, you're right. He slammed the brake with both feet and the bus shrieked to a halt so close to a crossing minivan I could see the driver's face. Somebody pressed a phone into his hands and he melted into the seat, thumbs already racing across the driving game. The old driver climbed back behind the wheel, hands shaking. Dean's eyes never left the screen. Your turn, old man. The school bus swerved so hard it threw me into the window. I jumped up and saw the dumbest kid in our school had both hands locked on the steering wheel, screaming at the old bus driver. Give it to me. You always get the drive. It's my turn. The driver grabbed Dean's sleeve, his voice cracking. Son, please, you're gonna kill us all. Two jocks charged the front and wrapped him up around the chest, but that dumb bar was somehow stronger than them both. He shrugged them off like they were nothing and stamped on the gas. My mom took my Xbox. I haven't played GTA in 3 days, he said, whipping us around the corner while we all screamed. I need to dopamine max or I'm gonna lose my mind. And up ahead, a wall of traffic filled the windshield. I'm gonna drive straight through. I crawled up the aisle, grabbed the back of his seat, and leaned into his ear. Bro, you're about to fail the GTA mission. His hands twitched on the wheel. Checkpoint's right there. Pull over or you lose all your progress. Everything gone. I was using his own logic against him. He gasped, dude, you're right. He slammed the brake with both feet and the bus shrieked to a halt so close to a crossing minivan I could see the driver's face. Somebody pressed a phone into his hands and he melted into the seat, thumbs already racing across the driving game. The old driver climbed back behind the wheel, hands shaking. Dean's eyes never left the screen. Your turn, old man. The school bus swerved so hard it threw me into the window. My girlfriend ignored me all day, then called at 11 that I filled my dog's food bowl and slapped my legs. Here, boy, time for food. But I knocked on my new foster parents' home and told them I was their new 16-year-old. The mom instantly laughed. Another mouth we won't be feeding and collecting the check for. But what they didn't know was that a van 100 feet away was listening to everything through the wire under my shirt, and that I was really a 20-year-old undercover CPS, not a helpless 16-year-old. I set down my bags and walked into the kitchen. I'm hungry. I haven't eaten since yesterday. I reached for the fridge, but the dad grabbed my wrist. In this house, you ask for permission to eat. That goes for everyone. I looked over at their bio son slobbering on his 4th PB&J sandwich. They led me to my new room in the basement with rats crawling everywhere and pointed to the damp pile of paper towels in the corner. That's your mattress. They closed the door, and I immediately started taking pictures, capturing the rats as well as the sound of their bio son gaming in his master bedroom above me. In the evening, my stomach was cramping as I hadn't eaten, and I asked what's for dinner. The woman looked me dead in the eye and said, you already ate. I shook my head. No, miss, I didn't. But she got in my face and screamed, my house, my rules. You already ate. She had no idea she was lying to the recorder. That night on my way back to the basement, I saw the other foster girl for the first time. Her wrists were skinnier than pencils, and she was chewing on a stale piece of bread she'd hidden in the closet. If you suck on the bread, it lasts longer. My heart broke into pieces, and I immediately knew what I had to do. I stormed into their kitchen and loudly opened their fridge. I pulled out their son's leftover pizza and began eating. He saw me and screamed, Mom! She came running and instantly snatched it from me. How dare you! She slapped me across the cheek. We take you in, we give you a place to sleep, and this is how you repay us. I'm going to call my caseworker and tell her to ship you somewhere else. But I just smiled and stood up straight. Save the call. I pulled out my phone and dialed one button, and instantly sirens surrounded their house. The police and the workers from the van were at their door. Her face went pale as the dad opened the door. What's happening? The cops put them in cuffs on the spot, and when I turned around, I saw the foster girl savoring their bio son's pizza. He couldn't do anything but watch as his monster parents were dragged out. I yelled after them, don't forget to ask for permission to eat in prison. I knocked on my new foster parents' home. Me and my girlfriend's snowmobile started smoking up when we were 100 miles deep into the mountains. I sprinted around and yanked the starter cord over and over, but the engine started sputtering, and I knew it was cooked. Alice took my hand, and her lip was quivering. We're going to be okay, right? I smiled like it was obvious. Of course we are. Your brother knows we're meant to be back soon. I'm sure he'll find us. But the sun was already setting. There was no phone signal, and I had no idea if we were going to live or die. She asked, so how much food do we have? I dug through the backpack and found 3 crushed crackers and 2 fruit roll-ups. I forced myself to smile. Plenty. Don't even worry about it. The sky turned dark, and it was so cold it took everything in me not to shiver. Alice was wearing my gloves and scarf, so I started making a shelter out of packed snow with bare hands until I couldn't feel them. When I was done, I led her inside, and I wanted to give her my jacket. But first, I had to take out the ring that I was going to use to propose, and then I wrapped it around her to keep her warm while she slept. I tried counting her breaths while she slept so I could stay awake and keep us safe from danger. But after a few hours, my eyes started to close and I couldn't fight it anymore. I woke up a few hours later to a dog sniffing me. When I opened my eyes, Alice was standing there with her brother and a team of ski patrol dogs. Her brother fist bumped me. Nice job on the igloo. Because of the igloo, we found you guys immediately. Alice smiled. Right before we lost signal, I told my brother our snowmobile broke down, and he told me he'd find us. I instantly stood up. Why the hell didn't you tell me? She took my hands. I knew that the only way you'd survive was if you thought you had to stay strong for me. So I pretended to be scared the whole time. I gasped, because the whole time she was lying to keep me calm. I was lying to keep her alive. I immediately took out the ring from my jean pocket and got on one knee. Alice, will you marry me? Me and my girlfriend's snowmobile started smoking up. I walked past my computer and saw my daughter furiously clicking the keyboard, her fingers slamming every key with power. I leaned over and realized she was typing a comment under a video of a 10-year-old boy playing video games. I'm gonna punch you so hard you're going to cry. I know where you live. She pressed the enter key, but before I could tell her to stop, I saw something that made me grip my desk. She had posted the comment under my YouTube account, which had videos of me gaming on it. I immediately got her off the chair and opened my comment history, then started hysterically laughing because if I didn't, I would cry. She'd left hundreds of comments under videos of little kids. I'm gonna beat you up. I'm coming for you. I'm hiding in your closet. She had accidentally made it look like me, a 34-year-old, was threatening kids online. I immediately went to start deleting the comments, but then my doorbell rang. 2 officers walked into my house. We need to search your computer. We've heard suspicious activity from it. My legs froze as I led them to my computer, trying to explain everything. But the comment, you look punchable, was already open under my account, making me look even worse. They glanced once at the screen and began putting cuffs on me. I screamed, it wasn't me. My daughter left these comments. She came running and begged the officers to believe me, screaming it was her, but they kept walking me out. That's when I remembered that every time I logged into my PC, my webcam automatically started recording my face for my gaming videos. I begged the cops to check the footage, and they reluctantly pulled it up. We watched my daughter hop in my chair with a grin and type manically for hours at a time. The timestamps of the videos matched when the comments were left. The officers apologized and walked out, and as I started deleting everything, my daughter tapped my shoulder. Was my trolling at least funny, Dad? I walked past my computer and saw my daughter furiously clicking. My mom swore our dog would never set foot in the house until the night someone broke in changed her mind for good. Mom grabbed her purse on her way out, the first time she'd ever left me home alone, and stopped in the doorway. Don't let anybody in the house, and the dog stays outside. Then she was gone. I went out back to say goodnight to Hank, curled up in the doghouse where he'd slept ever since she hammered a 2x4 over the doggy door. He tripped over his own paws, scrambling up to lick my face. Goodnight, buddy. Wish you could come in. I gave him one last pat, went inside, and crawled into bed. I was almost asleep when glass shattered in the kitchen. My eyes shot open, and my heart was pounding. Footsteps crept down the hall. I slid off the bed and pressed myself against the closet door, shaking so hard my teeth chattered. The burglar searched my parents' room. Then the footsteps came back and stopped outside mine. A flashlight beam cut under my door. I slapped a hand over my mouth and held my breath. The doorknob started to turn. A baseball bat leaned in the corner of the closet, and I lunged for it. Just as my hand closed around it, a massive crack split the silence, then splintering wood, then furious barking tearing down the hall. My door burst open, and Hank flew into the man like a missile, knocking him flat. The man screamed. I stayed frozen in the closet while Hank clamped onto his leg and dragged him backward out of the room. The man clawed at the carpet, but Hank hauled him down the hall and into the living room. I got there just as he ripped free and crashed back out the broken kitchen window. I dropped down and threw my arms around Hank while he licked my face and wagged his tail. The cops caught him a few blocks away, following the blood trail. When my parents got home, Mom's eyes went from Hank to the splintered 2x4 on the kitchen floor, to me holding him on the couch. Without a word, she pulled the good blanket out of the closet and laid it at the foot of my bed. Hank has slept there every night since. My mom swore our dog would never set foot in the house until the night someone broke in changed her mind for good. Mom grabbed her purse. While cat sitting for my neighbors, I let their indoor cat out the front door, and by midnight, I was sure I had gotten her killed. The Arnolds had left me a note on the kitchen counter written in bold letters. Astrid has never been outside, and she hates it. Do not open the front door without checking where she is first. I read the note 3 times. Then my delivery driver showed up with the pizza I ordered. I pulled the door open without looking down, and Astrid went out between his legs, like she had been waiting her whole life for that exact moment. I dropped the pizza on the porch and went after her. She ran under a row of hedges along the side of the house. I got down on my stomach and reached in. She wasn't there. I checked under the deck and behind the trash cans. I knocked on a door down the block. A guy in a hoodie pulled out his phone before I finished asking and showed me a video from his porch camera. A coyote was walking down the street with something limp in its mouth. They come through almost every night now. They ate 2 cats on this block last month. He tapped my shoulder. I'd start looking now if I were you. I went back to the Arnold's house as fast as I could. I put a bowl of tuna on the back patio and turned off the kitchen lights so I could watch the yard from the window. Around 10, I heard a howl somewhere past the back fence, then another one answering it from a different direction. Around 10:30, I saw something move at the edge of the yard. It was too big to be a cat. I flipped the porch light on, and whatever it was gone. The tuna bowl was on its side and empty. I refilled it and went back to the window. At 11, I heard a rustle in the bushes and ran outside with a stick I had been gripping all night. A possum looked up at me next to the bowl. I waved the stick at it until it walked off, and then somewhere down the block, a cat screamed. I ran out into the street holding the stick like an idiot. There was nothing there. No cat, no coyote, no movement under any of the cars. I walked back to the patio and called for Astrid until my throat hurt. By 12, I was at the kitchen table writing the apology text I was going to send the Arnolds, telling them how Astrid might have gotten eaten by coyotes. Then all of a sudden, I heard a sound at the back door. It was a thin scratching, then a meow, then more scratching. I went to the door, and there was Astrid, sitting on the mat, looking up at me. Her paws were wet from the grass. She walked past me into the kitchen and went straight to her food bowl. I remembered the note. She has never been outside, and she hates it. She had spent the whole night out there hating it, hiding from things that wanted to eat her, and then she had come home on her own. I deleted the text, picked up the pizza box from the porch, and threw it in the trash. The Arnolds pulled in at 9 on the dot. Mrs. Arnold got out of the car and asked how the weekend had gone. Fine, everything was fine. She handed me $80 in cash. I took it and walked out. Somewhere past the fence, a coyote howled, and I walked faster than I needed to. While cat sitting for my neighbors, I let their indoor
Bear Brand Adult Plus.
My uncle had spent 20 years hunting Bigfoot, and my grandma solved an escape room by cleaning it, and we spent the first 40 minutes begging her to stop. We took her for her 72nd birthday because my cousin Nate said she needed something exciting, and grandma said paying to be locked in a dusty room sounded like a punishment. The room was called The Haunted Study. Fake candles flickered on crooked shelves, cobwebs hung over a tea tray, and a portrait of a creepy old man tilted over the fireplace. The employee started the timer. You have 60 minutes to escape. Grandma grabbed a tissue from her purse and wiped a teacup. Nate groaned. Grandma, that's not a clue. She set the cup back on the tray anyway, and a drawer clicked open behind us. Everyone froze. Grandma pointed at the dust on the saucers. You're welcome. Nate found a riddle under the desk and shouted about moon phases, while Grandma folded the blanket on the couch and shook a key onto the floor. My sister tried matching wallpaper symbols, but Grandma started shelving books by height before we could copy the pattern. Wait, those books were in order, Nate said, dropping to his knees as the timer slipped under 20 minutes. Grandma slid the last book into place anyway, and the numbers 418 appeared across the spines. Stop touching things, Nate said, grabbing a brass compass from her hand. This is an escape room, not your church basement. Grandma snatched it back, wiped the dust off, and the compass needle swung toward the clock. With 5 minutes left, we had 3 keys, 4 numbers, and 1 locked bookcase that still refused to open. Worse, Grandma had put away every loose prop. The missing feather went in a pen cup. The old letter was flattened under a paperweight. The extra teacup was back on the tray. Nate pressed both hands to his head. She cleaned our last clue into the furniture. For the first time, Grandma stopped moving. The speaker crackled. Would you like a hint? Nate slapped the wall button. Yes. Grandma slapped his hand away. No. She stood in front of the tea tray, lips tight, counting under her breath. 4 cups, she said. 5 saucers. I stared at the tray. 1 empty saucer sat under the clock painted on the tablecloth. Grandma picked up the cup she had wiped at the start, placed it on the empty saucer, and turned the handle toward the real clock on the wall. The locked bookcase groaned open. We ran through with 8 seconds left. The employee stared at the monitor. You use no hints? Grandma handed him the dusty tissue. Next time, clean first. My grandma solved an escape room by cleaning it, and we spent the first 40 minutes begging her to stop. It was my 5th year in a row as a trained space mechanic when I was finally allowed into space in the rocket. My commander scoffed. Looks like someone owed NASA a favor and sent us Bob the Builder to help. I ignored him and went to use the panels I'd spent. I handed a woman her Uber Eats order and said, "Enjoy your meal." But as soon as she grabbed it, her face got angry, and she threw the food to the wall behind me. She screamed, "Why did you throw my food everywhere?" I froze because that wasn't true. "Ma'am, you just threw it." But she was already snapping photos of the food on the wall, my face, and my car. I didn't understand why she would accuse me, and my balls hit the floor because I could lose my job over an obvious lie. She already had Uber Eats support pulled up on her phone, like she dialed it before, and screamed, "Yes, my driver threw my food everywhere. I want him fired, and I want $100 in credit for this. This is unacceptable." I begged her. "Ma'am, please, this job is how I feed my kids. I can't lose my job." She put her hand over the phone and whispered, "I don't care about your stupid kids. I want my $100 credit so I can order crab legs tonight." Then she spun back around, sobbing so loud her neighbors started watching. A cop car rolled up from the commotion and asked the woman if there was a problem. She sobbed into her hands and pointed at the mess. "He did this." The officer pulled out a notepad. "Sir, this is destruction of private property. I'm going to need to speak to you in the station." I immediately put my hands up. "Please no, I didn't do anything." I felt my whole life slipping away over a lie. Just as the cop clicked his pen, a little kid wandered out the front door and looked at the crying woman. "Mom, are you doing the food thing again?" The woman immediately stopped crying and everyone went quiet. The cop lowered his notepad. "The food thing?" The officer looked at her doorbell camera. "I'm going to need to see the footage on that." She held her phone tightly and refused, but the cop insisted. It played, her taking the food calmly, then chucking it at the wall the second I left. The little kid nodded. "Mom does this every day, but I don't want to eat crab legs again. She'd been scamming drivers all over the city for free credit." The cop pointed at the mess. "We'll be contacting Uber Eats. Now clean it up." As she got on her knees and started scrubbing, I smiled. "Enjoy your meal." I handed a woman her Uber Eats. The fat kid next door pounded on my door. Have you seen my chocolate bar? I opened up and he was already red in the face, jabbing a finger at my chest. My Hershey's cookies and cream bar, the big white one. Someone ate it. I shrugged. I haven't seen it. He immediately spun around and roared down the whole street. Whoever ate my chocolate is dead. You hear me? Dead. Everyone on the street froze because we all knew whoever ate it was screwed. He crossed his arms. Fine, I'll just have to find the criminal myself. He stormed into his house and came back outside with a remote-controlled drone and a roll of duct tape. More people gathered to watch as he started taping himself to the drone. Whoever took it better watch out. I'm coming for you. In seconds, he launched himself into the air, scanning every backyard and screaming that the thief couldn't hide from him. Doors opened all down the street and people ran out waving their own chocolate bars up at him, trying to talk him down. Someone held up a fresh Hershey's and he swatted it clean out of the air. It's not the same. I want mine. But the drone started sputtering under his weight, dipping toward the road while the duct tape started to peel. He looked around frantically. Watch out! He started heading right towards me, and I sprinted so I wouldn't be the one to break his fall. He tumbled to the ground, and when I turned to get a closer look, I saw a corner of white wrapper poking out of his back pocket. Check your back pocket, I shouted up at him. He reached back, yanked out a crushed empty Hershey's wrapper, and went still as the whole street fell silent. I ate it. Whoever ate it was screwed, and it was him. The drone gave one last sputter and pushed him straight into my bush, while his hand still gripped the empty wrapper. The fat kid next door pounded on my door. Have you seen my chocolate bar? I opened up and he was already red in the face, jabbing a finger at my chest. My Hershey's cookies and cream bar, the big white one. Someone ate it. I shrugged. I haven't seen it. He immediately spun around and roared down the whole street. Whoever ate my chocolate is dead. You hear me? Dead. Everyone on the street froze because we all knew whoever ate it was screwed. He crossed his arms. Fine, I'll just have to find the criminal myself. He stormed into his house and came back outside with a remote-controlled drone and a roll of duct tape. More people gathered to watch as he started taping himself to the drone. Whoever took it better watch out. I'm coming for you. In seconds, he launched himself into the air, scanning every backyard and screaming that the thief couldn't hide from him. Doors opened all down the street and people ran out waving their own chocolate bars up at him, trying to talk him down. Someone held up a fresh Hershey's and he swatted it clean out of the air. I put a padlock on my mini fridge because my little brother wouldn't stop stealing my snack. I was watching LeBron highlights when I turned to my girlfriend and told her I wanted a baby. She looked up from her phone. A what? A baby. The next LeBron. Someone has to carry the torch. Doesn't he have his own kids? They couldn't hold it. Not like him. I grabbed her hands. Babe, I need you to see my vision. She finally nodded. That evening, I turned the guest room into a nursery, purple and gold, and I yelled, "I'm gonna get you," while playing tag. My fingers almost reaching Jake's back, but right as my fingers brushed against his sweater, a random woman yanked me back. I saw Jake get away, but when I looked at the lady, she was crying, staring right at me. "I'm taking you to the police. You won't get away with this." She immediately grabbed me by my wrist and dragged me, but I had no idea what she was talking about. I slapped her hand. "Lady, let go of me." I was so close, but she only gripped tighter, dragging me across the park while everyone stared. Then I noticed a little girl trailing behind her, looking at me terrified. She dragged me until she found a cop. The cop saw her red face and trembling hands and said, "Ma'am, is everything all right?" She pointed a shaking finger at me. "He's dangerous. He tried to kidnap those kids at the park. Arrest him now." My jaw dropped. "What? Me?" My friends ran over. "Are you in trouble?" The cop looked at me, then at the hysterical woman, confused. I was playing tag with my friends, but she only got louder. "Don't trust him." She pulled her daughter close. "He's a danger to my daughter." I didn't understand why she was so upset, accusing me of something I obviously didn't do, and snapped, "What the hell is wrong with you, lady?" The cop put his hand up. "Ma'am, he's a child. Tell me what's really going on, or I'm arresting you for harassing a minor." The whole park circled around her, and the woman's face crumbled as she dropped to her knees. "A year ago, a man tried to kidnap my daughter from this park." Her voice was shaking. When he grabbed her, he said, "I'm gonna get you." Every time I hear those words, she fell into her daughter, sobbing. The cop's face softened. She looked at me. "I'm sorry. I'm still going to therapy for it." I felt bad for her, but I had a game to finish. I turned around, ran straight up to Jake, and tapped his back. "Anyway, you're it." I yelled, "I'm gonna get you," while playing. My grandpa said he was going to become the best Pokemon collector in his retirement home. It started because I brought some packs on a visit. I figured he'd like the artwork. He watched me open them, then asked why the little turtle guy wasn't in more of them. I explained chase cards and pull rates. He nodded, told me he used to collect baseball cards as a kid, and asked if I was coming back next week. On my way out, I handed him a booster pack and told him it was the beginning of his collection. I had no idea how right I was. At the card shop that week, he picked packs based entirely on which ones had the best art on the wrapper. A collector nearby shook his head and explained pull rates and probability. Grandpa listened, thanked him, and immediately pulled the chase card, set it on the counter, then asked if the little spiky mouse was in the set. He kept buying packs that way, kept pulling chase cards. By my next visit, he had a binder full of cards I'd never seen in person. I tried to explain what he had. He nodded politely and asked again about the turtle. When a local tournament came up, I built him a deck and walked him in. A kid spent 5 minutes breaking down the rules before their match. Grandpa won, thanked him for the explanation, and told me on the way out he still wasn't totally sure how the game worked. That win qualified him for regionals. I signed him up and told him it was just a bigger version of the local. He asked if he should bring the turtle card he'd finally found. I said yes. He went in like always, made the top bracket, and walking out he asked if I wanted lunch. I pulled up the leaderboards and showed him his ranking. He barely glanced at it. "You know I don't really care about any of that." I asked what he meant. He shrugged. "I just like hanging out with you, kid." He'd learned an entire card game and beaten half the region without once caring if he won. I thought about that booster pack I handed him on the way out the door. The beginning of his collection, I'd said. I didn't know he was collecting something else entirely. My twin brother texted me at 6:48 p.m. "My date will be there at 7. Her name is Claire. Please pretend to be me." He was stuck 3 states away. His flight wasn't moving, and I had 13 minutes with zero information. Claire knocked at 7:02, holding 2 grocery bags. "I got everything on your list," she said, walking past me into the kitchen. "Shallots, good olive oil, fresh pasta, everything for your grandmother's carbonara." She set the bags down and smiled. "I've been thinking about this all week." I rubbed my face, trying to remember what a shallot was. "Right," I said. "The carbonara." A 6'7" basketball player at our school pointed at the 2-foot guy on our bench and laughed. "Bro, I know I just transferred to this school, but why is he even on the team?" Bristol slid off the bench, barely cleared the Giant's knee, and said, "I challenge your to a 1-on-1, first to 5. Loser buys the other lunch the rest of the year." The Giant grinned and responded, "Easy." We all felt bad because no one ever played Bristol before, and none of us knew what to expect. They ran out to the court, and the Giant scored the first bucket shooting straight over Bristol's head, like he wasn't even there. Soon the score was 4-0, and he held the ball high above Bristol's head and grinned. "Come reach for it, little man." He made Bristol struggle to get the ball for 2 whole minutes before he finally rolled it to him. "Here, consider this charity, little one." Bristol bounced the ball once, twice, and his whole face went cold. He slipped between the Giant's legs, and in seconds he had the ball going through the hoop. He spun past him for the next one, and the next. Then he crossed him so hard, the Giant slipped and sat down on the floor, and Bristol walked in the layup. We all had our eyes glued to the court, none of us on our phones, and the score was 4-4. The Giant stomped his large foot on the ground. "You got lucky." The whole gym leaned forward in their seats, and one kid was even eating popcorn. Bristol dribbled to the top, looked up at a rim 10 feet above him, and took off. He went up, and somehow threw it down with both hands. The backboard was still shaking, and I was on my feet screaming with everyone else. Bristol's been sitting on that bench for 2 years, and none of us knew that we'd end up feeling sorry for the wrong guy. The Giant bought Bristol lunch every day after that, and on the first day he picked him up, stood him on top of the bench, and sat down on the floor at his feet. For that second, the smallest kid in the whole school was looking down at the Giant. A 6'7" basketball.
See, no silly.
I shot up out of bed the second I heard glass shattering, grabbed my trusty bat from underneath, and flew down the stairs before I could think. A shattered vase was spread across the floor, and my dog's crate sat wide open, empty. I called Biscuit's name through the whole house and got nothing back. Then I spotted a cracked phone glowing in the broken glass, dropped by whoever knocked the vase over running out. The screen had one message on it: "Bring the Frenchie to the warehouse on Lowell by 6. I jumped up and down in my kitchen. This is sick. This is literally John Wick. So I tossed the bat aside, dropped onto the couch. I grabbed my yellow helmet at the end of my shift, but it wouldn't come off. I felt it with my fingers and found a ridge of dried glue sealing it to my hair. I heard someone laughing behind me and turned around to see my coworker Raymond filming me with the super glue tube clipped to his belt. "Dude, I totally got you, but this was my final straw. Over the last few years, he'd cut the brakes on my motorbike. like flirted with my girlfriend in front of me, all in the name of a prank. But this was too far. I drove home with the helmet still glued on. I tried dish soap to get it off, then cooking oil, then ice down my neck, but the glue